Thank you, Luis. Good afternoon, everybody. As I am here today, Greg Keel with Keel Architecture and Planning, principal of the firm that Eric works as Director of Preservation, along with Frost team members on a number of projects, a couple of which we're presenting today. I know that one of the things that wanted to build off of the presentation that Eric had shared just recently and its application on a couple of projects. One of the things that I'm looking at in presenting today are two projects where we've used some of the new technologies and applied them for projects that are active and recent. This project you see here, the Goshen Municipal Annex, former high school, now serves as Goshen municipal facility. The upper level is vacant and is going to be renovated as additional office space. The building that I think most of the focus in the presentation this afternoon between the three presenters is St. Adalberts Church in South Bend. This one is especially significant for me personally. It's where my mom went to school. It's where my grandparents were members of the parish and were married and were buried through this parish. So it's important. This is located on the west side of South Bend, and is a very active church and is in present need of renovation. The active work that's in construction right now is just completed the re-roof of the project and presently undergoing masonry rehabilitation. Our scope in terms of our initial study was to develop an assessment of the building, of which no original plans existed. It was built in 1926. The original architect was Worthman and Steinbach out of Chicago. Original construction cost, curiosity, $230,000. The renovation work that we're preparing and if completed is approximately $3 million for the roof and the masonry. So we can see that has changed over the years. In order to generate plan sections and elevations, we did a combination of field measuring, high resolution photography, Matterport cloud scanning, and drone photography to develop existing conditions, site plans, floor plans, elevations and sections. These are drone photos that we have shot with our Mavic Pro. We've had this for probably about 7 years now. And as Eric indicated, it's a key tool for us on our projects that have significant height. We can get up close to parapets, to decorative stonework, sheet metal work, as well as the roofing and the gutters and the sheet metal flashing safely. Now, when we can, we like to walk roofs, but in this case, this is a roof that's not really a walker. That slope is 12-12, 10-12.
The main roof.
The main roof.
12, maybe.
So you can see some of the saddles and crickets down behind the parapets. This is I think 4,000 level image in terms of the high resolution. We can take videos and then do still shots from the videos as well as still images. From the practical end, we have 3 batteries. The batteries last about 15 to 20 minutes each, and so we have those charged before we go up to a site. And when it's cold, practical aspects of dealing with scanners and flying drones is that you've got limited time, so you want to have a plan, map that out, and attack the project accordingly. We find that whether it's sunny or cloudy can be important in doing our drone photography. Cloudy day many times can give us a little better resolution, whereas the sunny days, it's almost the contrast is too great and we get some burnout on the illuminated sections and the shadow areas. We don't get the resolution. So sometimes we'll go and we'll take shots of on a sunny as well as on a cloudy or partly cloudy day. In terms of the Matterport scanning, we find that it's a hugely useful tool. We've had our Matterport for probably a little over a year. And prior to that, we were borrowing a Matterport from a consultant colleague in testing it out on a number of projects. One thing that I'll show and share as an example of the actual Matterport 3D scan and the model, which we call it's known as the Dollhouse. It gets provided the 3D, and we'll do a little walk around to show you an example on the Goshen Annex project. What it does is allows us to establish the plan for the building. It provides the measuring, in addition to many times we'll do field measuring to verify, but the Matterport we find is fairly accurate within a fraction of an inch. And we use it for primarily interior scanning, but we've also used it on exterior. And in this case, I'll share the Matterport of the Annex project, which used both interior and exterior. So again, an elevation of the St. Adalberts Church project. We were mapping roof and sheet metal deterioration, as well as the masonry deterioration for the limestone and the brick. To show some of the construction in progress. As Eric indicated, we're communicating to the contractor team in plans, elevations, and sections and details, traditional methods, also specifications. What we found, and Joe and I were at a project this week at a pre-bid with on another project, the fire station and the town hall in Chesterton, and we're sharing the Matterport scan and high-res photography with the contractors. They raved about the use of the Matterport as a tool for them to be able to, at their desk, to walk through a building and look at a specific interior condition without having to sift through dozens of photographs or have to go back out in the field. So we see this tool as a resource, not just for the design team. It's also a useful tool for the owner team in terms of PR and promotion for fundraising, and also then on the back end for the contractor team as they're bidding the project, and then ultimately back to the PR team for the completed project in terms of promoting the completed project. We know that structural stabilization is going to be one of the things that Joe DeVito will be presenting. This particular project that St. Adalberts is our best example of that. I'm going to try and see if I can Matterport and shows it in a floor plan. I can then take this to various levels. And then within the space, this is the main space that we're renovating in the building, which will house their engineering department. By using my control arrows, I can spin around and I can look up, advance in the space, and then look up at the decorative ceiling and the deterioration. So this helps us with mapping of deteriorated plaster, securing elevation heights. For example, by clicking on the measure bar, which is in the lower left, it starts, this is a new feature in Matterport within the last 3 weeks. This is indicated the measuring from the bump outs of this bay. So 3 inches is the dimension from the back side of the bay, and then 42 feet from this corner, and then 18 foot 2 inches. And then when I go to the floor plan, it projects these dimensions as well as the square footage of the areas that are mapped, which is again fairly recent development, and we're seeing this continuing to be developed at a higher level as we move forward. Moving back to the Dollhouse, the exterior of the building is something that was mapped out. you can see here that this is the interior. So I'm going to see if I can go back. This doesn't read exactly as for some reason, when I use this particular link, it's not picking up the exterior, so I'm gonna go back to just address the interior. When the team is in the field, and you can see here on the first floor, and I'll do a floor plan view just to give you an idea of how that looks. We have quite a few smaller individual rooms, so the practicality of scanning this is a number of scans, for example, in these moderate sized rooms. Steve, in this case, Bainey has been doing the bulk of our scanning. He's probably doing 6 scans staged around the building at the midpoints and in the corners. And then down the corridor, he's probably done a single set of scans about 10 feet apart. And then in the smaller rooms, probably a single scan or possibly 2 scans. What that amounts to is about a full day of scanning for to secure the interior scope of the building. And then one of the other things that he does is he knits together when we go inside. We can then walk through the building, walk into the building and see this is in their back area where they have their maintenance storage. And you can see the profile of the footprint within the space. I'm going to go back to that top floor. This is in the corridor. And then we're making our way back into the main space. This space, from a practical standpoint, large open areas such as the St. Adalberts Church or this former auditorium for the Goshen Annex is where most of it's easiest to scan. We're probably looking at a 15 by 15 grid. The scanner would sit on a rolling set of dollies, and then the scanner would click the button, and then as the scanner does the 360, the operator would walk around to avoid being in the scan. It is a practical thing that one has to address just to avoid it. Now, if there are people in the scan, if we're dealing with an occupied building, we ask the client to coordinate so that the staff would move out, and then we'd have a doctor wouldn't have to worry about that. But they have a tool to mask faces, like in Google Earth, and signage or other information. It's possible to do that. One of the other practical aspects is it's knitted together so that you have one model. And I'm going to make my way down the stairs just to show how that works. Or I'll go upstairs to the attic. So scanning up the stairs probably takes the most time because you have to set the tripod up with a different length of legs. And that allows the model to be a single model. That's a functional aspect, but also a cost aspect. If you have separate models, there's more cost associated with that. As in every software that's out there, there's monthly licenses, annual licenses. So that's one of the realities of dealing with the Matterport scanner. But it's a tool that we find is well worth it, what it brings back to the project. This is the former attic area. It's going to serve as a mechanical room, but was a gymnasium. You can see this is where the basketball goal was, and they used to shoot, as I understand, underhand shots for at the free throw line. So I'm going to go back to here's the exterior model. So the exterior Matterport model is a separate model, and because quite a bit of our work involved windows and masonry mapping. You can see here that we've got the exterior of the building mapped out, and you can pull up fairly close and we can get a measurement. Let's say we wanted to get a glass measurement at the bottom of the sash. Have a hard time just to map it, but you can see that some of the dimensions pull up.
The plus. In the middle.
Here we go. So we can get
Get nice right out.
masonry openings and other dimensions. Again, what they're looking for in the measuring tool is hard geometry. And when you click on it, so that's one of the tools that our team uses to indicate the geometry of vertical heights as well as jam depths. The more accurate the scan is, the more accurate the feedback is on the back end. We'll go back to the dollhouse exterior just to show. When you have trees, of course, you have to deal with the vegetation. We try to do our scanning this time of year is ideal, in the fall is ideal. And then you can also get site information. So if you're dealing with accessibility upgrades and ramps, that there's data that you can secure relative to threshold height and other adjacent curb, walk, and landings. So this is proven to be an incredibly useful tool from a number of different standpoints. But think of yourself as a contractor trying to understand what potentially an interior condition might be in a space, and to be able to walk in and move yourself around and to look around is hugely convenient and will help, we believe, bring better pricing back for our clients' projects. Now, if I can move back to the regular project. Thank you, Lou. So again, the municipal annex project, which I showed you on the Matterport, this project served as Goshen High School up until, I believe that Eric was about 20 years ago. I think 2005, they did the renovation of the building as offices, and the upper level is vacant. So that'll be used for legal and for engineering department. We, in this case, had existing condition plans. So we scanned these plans and were able to utilize these and cross-reference them to the Matterport to develop a really tight set of existing conditions documents. Not every project has existing conditions plans. This also shows historic information about what the building was designed to be originally. Sections have been really helpful. I know when we were looking at the roof design and terracotta detailing of the roof. That's a separate package that we had that out to bid recently. We had pricing come in. I think 1.2 million is the proposed budget to move that forward. That would include a removal and a relay of the existing terracotta roof, and then also repair of the internal eaves with the copper lining, and then a membrane roof in the upper low slope sections, which are right in through this area here.
Right, as-built, I mean, existing CDs. That helped a lot.
It's a huge document for us. We know that as-built are something that in projects that might be, say, 15, 20, or 30 years old, and they're getting renovations. Having accurate drawings is always important. What we find is the historic buildings were built more accurately than the buildings that were built 20 years ago. Because of value engineering, because of contractor changing, owner changing, program, things are in a state of flux. But those buildings probably, I'd say in the 70s, in the early 80s is when things happened, that sort of changed. Prior to that, pretty much what was designed and shown on the drawings was built fairly accurately to the drawings, but since then it's more of a guessing game. And that's where I think all these different tools and resources are important for us. It wasn't, I've had the office 33 years, and in the first 5 years, from 1991 to 1996, was using parallel rule, vellum and mylar and pencils and lead, which was the tools that the architects used pretty much from the Renaissance. And since then, we're looking at computer-aided design drafting. Right now, we're using AutoCAD, but transitioning to Revit. Probably pushing about half of our projects are now in Revit. The Matterport scanning tends to be the best.
Does that integrate, does the scanning that you showed integrate into Revit or CAD or?
Yes, so here's an example of some 3D of how we're handling the interior design for the offices. And so we were able to take that model and then to pull it into Revit and then utilize this as a basis for 3D geometry showing the renovated spaces from these similar vantage points. So this is a view looking to the east, and this is a view looking to the east, southeast with the new spaces integrated.